Podcast Answer Man, episode number 321.
Entertaining, educational, and encouraging content that makes a difference. This is GSPN.TV. Join the community.
Hello, everyone. This is Michael Hyatt from This Is Your Life and MichaelHyatt.com. You're listening to the man who has trained more people to podcast than anyone else on the planet. My friend Cliff Ravenscraft. He is the Podcast Answer Man.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Podcast Answer Man. My name is Cliff Ravenscraft, and this, my friends, is the podcast about podcasting, helping you take your show to the next level. It doesn't matter if you're a brand new podcaster, if you have been podcasting for many years, or you haven't quite yet recorded that first episode. There's something we can all do to take our show, our podcast, and everything we do in life to the next level. That's right, my friends, and taking things to the next level is what it's all about, and I'm so excited to have been a part of helping so many people take their message to the next level, and I'll be talking a little bit about that here in just a moment. I just want to tell you that the focus of today, though, is going to be an interview with my good friend Ken Davis from Dynamic Communicators International. And if you've not heard of Ken Davis, you've certainly heard of his business partner, my good friend also, Michael Hyatt. I had talked about them both repeatedly as a result of my experience at the Platform Conference earlier this year, which of course I'll be speaking at again in November in Dallas, Texas. If you haven't heard about that, head over to platformconference.tv. But also I talked to you about back in May how I went to the SCORE conference. That's SCORRE conference.tv. And had such a life-changing experience that I recorded an entire episode about my experience there and just how much I learned. And today, I have Ken Davis that's going to join me by telephone. That's right, he's up in the mountains of Colorado and doesn't have great bandwidth connections up there. So we did a telephone interview with him last week, and I'm going to be playing that for you in today's episode. And he's going to share with us 6 steps to communicating more effectively with your next public speaking opportunity. Now, I know many of you out there are looking at becoming thought leaders in your industry, or you're looking to become, just at the top of your game as far as getting recognized for your industry, for your niche field. And one of the ways that you can do that is by volunteering to speak publicly at industry conferences and at other conferences about your industry. And so I just thought that this might be helpful to you, and looking forward to sharing that interview with you in just a moment. Also today is a special day because I am recording, of course, on Thursday, as I always do, in front of a live internet audience. And I do this every Thursday. If you guys haven't ever done so, I don't mention this here a lot on Podcast Answer Man these days, but I thought I'd bring it up today. Every Thursday from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m., I record live on the internet at gspn.tv/live, or you can go to podcastanswerman.com/live. And I actually record stream live while I'm recording these episodes. And it's a lot of fun to interact and see what's going on in the chat room before the show and after the show. Try not to pay too much attention during the show so I don't get too distracted, but occasionally I cheat and look over and see what somebody's saying. But anyway, I am, since this is a day where I already have most of this show already in the can, if you will, because I recorded the interview with Ken last week, I'm only recording this 12.5-minute intro, and then I have a 3.5-minute outro. I'll edit it all together. The show notes were pretty much all put together last week, so I'm going to have a lot of free time on my hand. And I figured since I'm doing live show Thursday, what am I going to do? Well, my friends, I'm getting ready to launch a brand new podcast. It'll be my 31st show or podcast that I will be launching. It's the Veronica Mars Fan Podcast. My wife and I have already recorded the first 3 episodes of that show. I will be releasing 2 episodes today and 1 episode per week after. And we're very excited about it. The movie will be coming out soon, and if you want to learn more about it, you can check that out at veronicamarspodcast.com, which if you check it out now in the live chat room, you won't see anything. But anyway, if everything goes according to plan, we will have it up and running here in no time at veronicamarspodcast.com. You can learn more about it just by going and checking out episode number 1. See if maybe you're interested. Anyway, and then one more other thing that is happening right here before we get into the Ken Davis interview. I am in the final week of my most recent, my 12th actual podcasting A to Z online training course session. That's right, my friends. I have done 12 of these now, and tomorrow is the final day, and I am so excited. I mean, every single time I do this class, I've had somewhere between 20 to as many as 36 students at a time, and helping all of those people get their message out into the world, to take their message to a whole new level. And I'm just going to mention a couple of them. I can't go through and mention every single one of them, and a couple of them have not yet launched their shows, but I just want to just give you an overview of some of the things that people are coming up with. Brandon Vaughn is one of my students, and he's actually going to be creating a podcast called First Things with Brandon Vaughn. It's a brand new podcast on productivity, and I'm so excited that his podcast is already launched and approved in iTunes. Brad Baldridge will be launching the Taming the High Cost of College podcast. And he's going to be taking his years of financial coaching and helping parents find out strategies to plan for their children's college, whether they start when the kids are young or they're doing late stage planning. He's there to give advice weekly on a free basis. His goal is to help 1,000 families pay for the high cost of college over the next 12 months. How awesome is that? And that podcast is not yet launched, but it's getting ready to. Winthrop DeFreitas has a gun holster business, and he actually is launching the Gun Holster Talk podcast, which is already approved and launched in iTunes. Tom Bolden is going to be launching BaseballTalk365.com, which will be all about baseball in the 1960s. That'll be launching soon. Keith Parsons is actually going to be relaunching his Wireless LAN Weekly show. His show was previously so popular that it landed him so many different job opportunities. He actually took one that he thought he couldn't pass up. And so he went from being a long-time self-employed freelance trainer in the wireless LAN industry, and he took a very, very nice, tempting job offer and decided he couldn't work for the man, and he's going back out on his own again, and says that that's the way he wants to do it. So he's firing back up the Wireless LAN Weekly show. So excited about that. Blaine Moore is going to be doing the Modern Publishing podcast. He has his own book publishing company, and is going to be sharing his experience with the world on a free weekly podcast. I think that's pretty awesome. Doug and Andrea Turpening is going to be creating a podcast all about life with great friends, helping people find and develop true friendship. I love that concept. Matt Biggs is going to be doing the Universal Value Creators podcast, another entrepreneurial-focused show. I love those. And Adam Collier is going to be doing the Science Layer. He'll discuss the role of science in enterprise, and we'll discuss the issues around employing scientists in an organization and the unique culture that surrounds scientists. So that's a unique spin and a unique niche for sure. And then Scott Stratton, some of you may be familiar with his book Unmarketing. I haven't actually had the approval to tell you about the upcoming launch of his podcast, but there's no doubt it's going to be a huge success and will rise to number one as immediately upon its launch. And so look forward to that. It'll be coming very soon. And then Mitch Ackel is going to be doing a legal podcast for in-house legal counsel. So another lawyer out there creating content out in the world. And this is just a sample, my friends, of some of the people that I'm helping, and what a joy it is to do what I do. I'm just so thrilled. And so for those of you who are students and alumni of Podcasting A to Z, thank you for allowing me to do what I love to do, which is to help you create your podcasts. Now, last week I did mention that my next episode for podcasting, or my next session, my 13th, lucky 13, my 13th session was going to start on August 26th. I got a ton of responses saying, gosh, Cliff, I'm going away for Labor Day and I'm going to miss probably 4 or 5 really key days. I'll sign up for your next one. And after I got my 5th response saying, I can't do it, that's a bad time to start, but I definitely will take your next one, I immediately took the course and replaced the starting date from August 26th to September 23rd. And I emailed all those people back, and 3 of the 5 have already said, yes, I'm registering. The other 2 said that they'll let me know within the next 5 days. So it looks like the next launch is definitely going to be Monday, September 23rd, and it will go through October 18th. So I'm looking forward to that. If you have any questions about Podcasting A to Z, first go over to podcastingatoz.com, watch the video there, and then if you have further questions, feel free to email me, but I would love to have you sign up. And again, if you use the early bird discount code SAVE500, I only announced that here in the podcast and on my mailing list. But again, that's early bird discount SAVE, SAVE 500. You'll save $500 off the cost of the course, but you'll need to do that very quickly. So there you go. Thank you guys very much, and I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and turn our attention now to this pre-recorded interview with my great friend, Ken Davis. Well, my friends, I am so delighted to have on the line with me right now, Ken Davis. Now, Ken Davis is a name that I had not heard of until I heard this guy, Michael Hyatt, talking about his business partner at all times. And he's like, he's had so many wonderful things to say about this guy. And I'm like, how can anybody be that great of a guy? But I did have the honor and privilege of meeting Ken Davis face-to-face for the very first time at the first Platform Conference in Nashville, Tennessee last year. And wow, what an amazing guy. And I tell you what, Ken, hearing you speak is an experience, and then experiencing something known as the SCORE Conference just sealed the deal for me, my friend. I am honored to know you.
Well, you had me at hello, friend, so the feeling is mutual. The feeling is very mutual.
Hey, obviously, we want to eventually tell people about the SCORE conference that's coming up in Colorado and things like that. But I really want to get to the heart of something here that is going to be of great interest to the podcasting audience out here that's listening. And you are an expert in communication. And I just want to ask you, Ken, what would you say makes for great communication?
Well, if I were to narrow it to 2, and we'll have a chance to talk a little bit more about this, but if I were to narrow it to 2 words, it would be passion and purpose. In other words, a person that has something to say, and it's clear what they say, that's the purpose part, but that they deliver that with some kind of passion. It's possible to see speakers that have all kinds of passion, and they're just all over the map, and you go, great, well, that was very entertaining, but what did it do for me? But when they speak with purpose and focus, like you've heard us teach at SCORE, when they have that focus to their presentation, when they have that focus to their podcast or whatever it might be, it really, really holds people. And it allows people to take something home that will make them better, that will benefit them or change their lives.
You know, one of the things that I heard you say before was the statistic of the number of people who actually get up and speak publicly and have no idea what purpose they have, what they want their audience to walk away with.
Oh, yeah. We did a survey, and in that survey we discovered that 75% of the people that come out of any communication situation have no idea what the purpose of that communication is, why they were sitting there, what the speaker wanted from them. They may remember an illustration or a joke or something like that. They may even come away saying, that was entertaining, but they didn't get it. And like you said, that wasn't the saddest part of the survey. We also asked the speakers and discovered 50% of the speakers could not articulate in any logical or simple way what it was they were trying to communicate. They had simply delivered a list of ideas and had never considered where they want to go. I have a saying that I use quite often, and that is that if you aim at nothing, you will hit it every single time.
Ken,
and if you go ahead.
No, go ahead. And if you what?
Let's see now. See, that's the problem. Your listeners, your fans don't know this, but I'm brain dead. So if we pause for a second, whatever was there in my brain, it erodes, it deteriorates. But it'll come back. It'll come back.
Well, Ken, one of the things that's interesting is I had this desire to become a professional public speaker. Not like that's my full-time career and I'm known as that, but I wanted to add professional paid public speaking as a stream of income along with the various other things that I do and I'm known for. And interestingly enough, I was told a long time ago that I'll never be taken seriously and I'll never get a speaking gig if I don't have a book. Well, guess what? I don't have a book. But I have had several paid speaking gigs, and what's amazing to me is I put this out there to people that this is my goal, and the offers for me to come speak came left and right. And one offer for me to speak was the platform conference, the very first ever, the inaugural platform conference that is put together by you and Michael Hyatt.
Mm-hmm.
And I was freaked out about being invited to this conference. Sure, I can go to any other conference, but to actually be in a conference and speak in front of Michael Hyatt, who is somebody I look up to very highly. I did not know you at the time, but I knew the two of you have an entire conference, actually two conferences about professional public speaking. And I knew that at that time, I've got some passion. I've got a story to share, and I can entertain and inspire and encourage people. But I guess if you were to ask me, I don't think that I would be one of the people who would have no idea of what it is that I want people to walk away with. But instead, what I suffered from, and I think you probably see this a lot, Ken, is I suffered from having like 9 things I wanted to actually...
That's right. That is so true. That is so true. And to discover what it is... See, there's an important question we often ask as speakers, and that is, what are you going to say? Now, in the end, nobody gives a rat's hiney what you're going to say. What they want is something that will enable them. So we find a lot of people will go into a long, detailed story about their past and all the credentials that they have, and all of that is really wonderful. But in the end, the person sitting there, the person listening to your podcast, the person reading my post wants to know, what's in it for me? How does this help me? I guess there are some people who post and there's a lot of humor, and what's in it for them? I use humor, that's one of the central key posts of what I do. And sometimes that may be enough. This is the kind of thing that makes them smile to start the day. But to listen to someone deliver just, 21 points, how to save the whales and keep the seals happy, and what's wrong with TSA, and just one of those is a good speech. And in the end, the question is, so what can I learn? What can I do to make my life better, no matter what that talk is all about? So, by the way, I want to tell you, you were amazing. You gave an amazing speech. But can I be honest and tell you what I think the most amazing thing about you was?
What's that?
At the end of the speech, you said, I want to get better. I want to get better at what I'm doing. When a person says, I've arrived, I don't have any more to learn, they're dead. People are filing past them going, boy, they look good. Don't they look great? The guy that made them up in the what's that place, man, where they go to prepare them for burial? What's that called?
Oh, the morgue?
Morgue, yeah. Yeah, well, if you decide you've made it, you don't need to improve anymore. You're basically you're morgue material. But that's not you. That's not you. What you wanted to do is improve, and you recognize the importance of coming, with one main single focus, and everything drives toward that focus. And that's why I'm a fan of you today.
Well, I'll be honest with you. When I heard about the SCORE method and this idea that you're going to get up there and teach people to talk one thing. It's like, man, I've got so many things I want to share. There's no way I'm going to be able to fit this. And I heard about the SCORE method or the SCORE conference, and I'm like, okay, I want to go to this, but I'm probably not going to try to fit into that mold. And I know that a lot of people go into the SCORE conference thinking, this is going to be so constricting. It's going to try to make pigeonhole me into a formula that's going to make, that I'll have to adhere to it, and it's going to be dry, static, and stale, and it's just not possible. And I know a lot of other people went into the SCORE conference thinking the same thing, and I came away thinking something completely different. And my eyes were opened to this concept of only saying one thing, of having of having the ability to summarize the entire talk, whether it be 5 minutes or whether it be 45 minutes or an hour length talk. That can I actually summarize my entire point of what I'm saying, of what I want people to do, in one single, simple, easy to state sentence.
That's right. One sentence. That's right. We have folks who come to our SCORE conference and they complain because they only give 5-minute speeches. And they say, well, usually I speak for half an hour or 20 minutes, and some of them speak longer than that. And the point is that if you can't say it in 5, if you can't give the essence of what you're communicating in 5, you can't say it no matter how much time is available. And in fact, we use that sentence because the guy said, until you can write it in a sentence, you're not ready to give it. You're just not ready to give it. Before we finish the podcast, you've been there, so you know there's no way we could do the whole SCORE conference. But I would like to just lay out a little template for people to consider in doing the very next podcast they're going to do, or doing the next post, or preparing the next speech that I think will be extremely helpful to them. And it's all about that aiming thing, about having one thing you're aiming at. We try to say so much. Sometimes we throw stuff into a speech just because we think it's good or because we think it's funny. And that's okay. I throw some funny stuff in the beginning of a speech sometimes just to make the audience want to listen. But when they leave, I want every one of them to know what they were there for. And I want them 2 weeks later to write me a note or an email like we get every single day, thanking me for bringing that single point. Now let me back up. I don't want to use the word point, that single purpose. And I want to make sure that the people who listen to the podcast are understanding we're not talking about one thing or saying one thing. We're talking about determining a purpose, a destination. This is where we want to end up. Then the points, or whatever it might be, the movement of the speech, the stories we tell, lead toward the audience coming away with that purpose and understanding what it was. And anything that doesn't help that process is eliminated from the talk.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I fell in love with the process. I know we're going to get to that step-by-step template, and I want to encourage those who are listening who have the ability right now to go and grab a pen and a piece of paper. You may want to have that handy. For those of you who are driving, don't do that.
No. You
can go to podcastanswerman.com/321, and you'll see in the show notes, I'll have that template there for you. You can download it later and all that good stuff. But anyway, before we do that, I do want to say I was shocked that I was only going to get 5 minutes. I'll be honest with you. If I can be honest, I was a little. It's like I only got 40 minutes at the platform conference, and I'm like, how on earth? I've never shared what I'm going to share in less than 60 minutes before. I'm like, seriously, I want an hour, and then to come to the SCORE conference and learn that I have 5 minutes, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But you know what that did for me. Now the thing is it would have been impossible for me to do the 5 minutes if I didn't learn the SCORE outline, the SCORE method, and understand it's one single purpose. But you can still say multiple things. You can share multiple stories. You can analogies and all that stuff. You can have all that different stuff, and you can even include that in a 5 minute speech. And so what it did is it forced me, and one of my favorite 5 minute speeches that I did was in the simple statement of my one talk is I wanted everyone to know that every entrepreneur must become an expert at saying no because of these 4 reasons.
That's right.
So
That's right.
that's my purpose. I want everybody to understand, if you're an entrepreneur, you must become an expert at saying no. And here's
That's right.
why.
And you're going to give them the reasons why.
Exactly.
And so the audience sits there. This is what I love, my friend. The audience sits there going, what reasons? They might even disagree with you. What reasons? What 4 reasons? I'm already good at what I do. And so it builds what I call tension. We have another saying we use: when the tension is gone in any kind of communication, the attention is gone. And so it's important to keep that tension. What reasons are these? And so then you begin to deliver on those reasons. And when people go home, hopefully what they go home saying is, I know how I can become a better entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
I can apply these. These are the reasons I have to do this. And if I do it, I'll be a better entrepreneur. I'll make more money. I'll have a better business, whatever it might be.
Absolutely. And you know what's amazing, Ken, is that was my simple purpose. And in 5 minutes, I was able to state I was able to give a good open. I was able to give the 5 reasons, but I was also able to give a story from my life as an example within those 5 minutes. And here's the key. To be able to fit it into 5 minutes, I can't begin to tell you the number of times that I practiced that 5-minute talk. And the first 7 or 8 or 9 times, it was a 8-minute speech. And I knew that was unacceptable, and I had to get it down. And I practiced it. And what it did is it forced me to practice it so many times that I did something else for the very first time. So not only did I actually create a 5-minute talk, but I also, for the very first time ever, gave a very thorough talk without a single note. I memorized the entire speech.
Yeah. It's so fascinating to me to watch people give a speech, and they will look down at their notes and say something like this. As they're looking at their notes, the other day we were driving to Colorado. Well, you don't have to read that. The other day you were driving to Colorado, and here's the beauty of what you're doing. When you know where you're headed and you know which roads you're going to take, the exact words you want to say aren't as important as staying on the roads that will get you where you're going. And so it just releases you. You may not know the next word, which you depended on your notes, but you know what the next road is. And you know that it's the Colorado story. And you don't need to look down to say, the other day we were driving to Colorado. So I'm very excited that you had that experience. That's very, very encouraging.
Yeah, and what happens, and this is what I love about it. So you figure it's a 5-minute talk. Now you've practiced it so many times in a 5-minute format. It's one central purpose. So if you ever forget any of your points, forget about that. You still know what your purpose is. And if you forgot your 4th point, you could probably come up with a 4th one right off the top of your head to continue to drive it forward, which you're not going to if you practice it enough. And here's what I loved about this is it's only 4 or it's only 5, it's only 6. However, I mean, you can add more numbers of supporting arguments for your central theme or purpose based upon the amount of time that you have. But here's what I love. I think I nailed it when it came to delivering that. Now, could I have improved? Absolutely, and I did improve with my next talk after that. But what I did is I did what I thought was impossible. I delivered a 5-minute talk without any notes and clearly communicated that with an amazing, rehearsed, well-given speech. Now, what I love about this is that was a 5-minute talk. Now, if I was asked to speak at a conference and give one of what I think would be my most valuable advice to any brand new entrepreneur, and I was going to be given either 30 minutes or 45 minutes, I don't believe that I would ever need to go beyond the 4 reasons. I wouldn't need.
That's right.
Because all I would do is I would stick with the 4 that I already have, but I might actually tell the story in a lengthier way. I might give more detail.
Right.
And I can embellish upon some of it. I might even throw a little humor into it.
Absolutely.
And that's what I love about it. So basically starting with something simple, and that's where it goes back to what you said. If you can't give it in 5, you can't give it in an hour.
Yeah, that's right.
But if you can give it in 5, you can crush it in a 30-minute or 45-minute or an hour-long talk.
That's absolutely right. People the people will respond when they feel like what's happening is leading them in a specific direction. And even if they disagree, they will stay with you to hear where you're going, to hear whatever evidence you have to offer for the direction that you're going. And then in the end, there's the option to, be changed. You can be deep, you can be deep, you can be funny, you can be, you can touch people's hearts, but along the way, somewhere, you've really got to have that focus, and that focus has to be something that benefits them. Communication is a two-way street. It's not just a recitation of what one person wanted to say. And you're learning that so well, and I'm so grateful for what you've given us as you've gone through this process.
Well, Ken, here's the thing. We've got some people out here, they're podcasting and they're wanting to become known as experts in their field, thought leaders in their industry. And obviously, podcasting is doing a lot to lend credibility. As I already mentioned before, people who told me I would have no credibility as a public speaker because I don't have a book. Well, guess what? This is my 321st audiobook, if you will, of my credibility. But the fact is that doing other things to get the word out about who you are and what you're doing is essential. Don't just rely on your audio podcast to land your credibility. So maybe you do want to write a book. You should be writing some more blog posts. You should be creating some video.
Absolutely.
And you should look for ways, even if you have no desire to add it as a stream of income, even if you have no desire to become known as a public speaker, you ought to take your message to your industry conferences and offer to speak and actually prepare a message ahead of time and practice it and get out there. And I know that scares a lot of people, Ken. So maybe they want to start out with their next blog post. Maybe they want to start out with, their next video that they want to say something in 5 minutes without losing people's attention on a video. Or maybe they are going to take the bold step and speak for the very first time in front of a crowd and show folks what they know about their industry to lend to their credibility. What is this template that you want to give to folks that's going to help them in this process? Okay,
can I say one other thing before I get to that?
Yeah.
This idea that you just gave people gold. I don't know if it, you just handed them a nugget of gold. And you talked about the fact that people said you have to have a book if you want to become a speaker. That's crazy. I was speaking for years, making excellent money without ever having a book. I now have 11, and I'm not sure they help me that much anyway. But here's something. Develop what it is you want to do. Develop it. Make sure that it has that purpose and that focus, and we're going to give you this template to show you how you can at least start in that direction. Name it. Put a name to it. I had a tour called Lighten Up. I had a tour called Fully Alive, Living Fully Alive. Give it a name. Be able to explain it, practice it, and deliver it. Name it. Be able to explain it in a sentence. That's what we're talking about. Practice it, and then deliver it. And deliver it over and over, for free if you have to. And that thing will start to catch fire, and one day the phone will ring. And the phone ringing, or buzzing, or yelling at you, or whatever you have your phone do, playing some nerd piece of music. Whatever you have your phone doing, when that phone rings, there's a little dollar sign attached to it, because that means somebody wants you. And that need provides value, and you can determine a value. We'll talk about that some other time in another course we provide. But I want to give this little template for preparing a speech, preparing a podcast, whatever it might be. If you have a piece of paper in front of you, draw a line down the middle of the piece of paper, and on the left-hand side, just write the word traditional. And this is the reason we're doing that. You can write just about anything, old school, anything you want over there. But this is the old school method for delivering or preparing a speech or preparing the kind of things that we are doing now, podcasting, posts, etc. Traditional would have you study or research. That's number one. That would be the first step. You study. You do research. You read a book, whatever it might be. It might even be that you just do some research online, whatever, about something you want to talk about. Step number 2 in the process is to list all the things you want to say. Now, you will recognize this because this is part of what, your process was in the past, I think. Am I wrong on that?
No, that was exactly it.
Yes.
I need to make a list of all the things I want to cram into the amount of time that I have allotted.
Yes. And when you saw his list, it required 45 minutes in an hour, right?
It did. And not only did that, but my list also required that I had all of my notes in front of me because I need to be reminded. I mean, the list was so long, I had to make sure that
Absolutely.
I can't miss any of this stuff.
And guess what? This is, as long as we're on list, what if you skip something on your list? I will make a guarantee right now, $1 million guarantee that no one in your audience will go, well, he skipped something on his list.
Well,
what are we going to do? He skipped something on. They don't know what you're going to say.
Well, the funny thing is that obviously I'm not going to make that bet because I know it's true. Because I did not realize that I only had 40 minutes until I got to Nashville, Tennessee, and anyway, so what happened was I realized I need to cut some stuff out. And
right.
And as I actually, even while I was on the stage, I was further cutting material. And in essence, I had given the talk that I gave at Platform, I had given that talk 3 times already. And every single time it's went over huge. And matter of fact, the original talk, the first time I ever gave that talk, is in a video on my About page on podcastanswerman.com. And that video, that 1 hour talk of me telling the story for the very first time, lands me more business than anything else I've ever done. People said, gosh,
oh, wow.
I watched your story, and if I am so encouraged, I've made a decision. I'm going to go for it because of your story. And so I know it's inspirational. But what happened was at Platform Conference, it was the first time, I think I cut out like 45% of what's in that video because I had to. And nobody knew. And every single person there that contacted me afterwards said, wow, I loved it. You just absolutely inspired me. I want to learn how to create a podcast. You gave me the encouragement that if you could do it, I can do it. Blah blah blah. And you're right. Nobody knew. Yep. It's like and there was a couple times I said, if you only knew. You didn't even get half the story. It's just amazing.
So second on the list is study.
Yep.
Okay. I'm sorry.
First on the list is study.
The first one is study. The second one is to list all the things you want to say. I want to encourage your listeners to not do this in a vacuum. Sit over coffee with friends as you're developing something. Help them tell you stories that will add to the list. There are no limits to the number of things on the list. Okay? Now remember, this is the old method.
Yep.
Then number 3 in the old method was to organize all those things you wanted to say, all those illustrations, all those funny jokes, whatever it was, into some organizational way that you would deliver it. I'm an expert in communication. I can't even come up with a word right now. To organize that in a way that you want to deliver it. So you would study, you list, and then you would organize, and then number 4 is you would deliver. You'd give that. Now, with some variation, that was basically the way speeches were done. You study, you list all the things you want to say, you organize that in a certain way, and then you deliver it. What we talk about at SCORE, if you write that on the other side of the line on your page, what we talk about at SCORE is a list that looks like this. These are the steps that we need to take. First of all, to study. It's so important for your credibility to know what you're talking about, to have some background, to be credible in the fact that you're not just throwing out something that you heard, that you have some passion about this, that you know something about what you're going to say. So study or research or whatever it is that you do is very important. Then second, list. List all the elements of that. If you're going to show video clips, whatever it is, And I can hear some of you out there. I can hear you right now. And some of you driving are saying it out loud. Wait, this sounds a lot like the other list. So far, it's exactly like the other list. It's exactly like the traditional method. But here we go. First we study, then we list all the wonderful things we'd like to say, all the great drama we'd like to bring to this presentation. And number 3, then, we ask a question. Why? Why do I want to say these things? Well, because it's what I want to talk about. That isn't communication. Communication is a two-way street. Communication is when someone in the audience says, this is going to benefit me. I told Cliff, is it okay if I just talk about some of the conversations we had?
Absolutely.
I told Cliff, people are much less interested in your success, and he is very successful, and even how you did what you did and how you got started, much less interested than they are in how can I do this? Show me how I can do this. Show me how I can become an entrepreneur. Show me how I can start a podcast. Give me the steps because I want to go home and do it. And Cliff has grabbed a hold of that, and he has run with it full speed. So why? Why does he want to say all those things in 45 minutes or an hour and a half? Because this guy has a passion for helping other people learn what he's learned, to experience the thrills that he has experienced of creating a living out of what you enjoy doing. So the why then can be as narrow as, in Cliff's case, I want them to know how to start a podcast tomorrow. The 4th thing on the list then becomes this: eliminate anything that doesn't lead toward that goal, toward that focus. Eliminate anything that doesn't lead toward that focus. And then the 5th is to organize what's left in a way so that it leads people directly to that focus. I'll often we do concerts all across the country. I talk about family, I talk about faith, I talk about business. I've done everything from IBM to little tiny church groups, whatever it might be. And in any case, what I want to do is to go there and leave them with one single thought. So I organize that in such a way that it leads directly to that. I'm not just giving a speech. I'm not aiming at the whole target. I'm aiming at the bullseye. And then I practice. Cliff, you said something. This is another. I mean, when you talk about stuff that's so simple in nature, but most of us write this stuff down on paper. We have a friend that has taught at our SCORE conference who says this: we need to be an oyful speaker, if I can think of this now. On your feet, OYF, out loud, OL. An oyful speaker. You can write stuff on a piece of paper that you're going to deliver in your speech that you actually can't say. I could have you right now write down these words: black, bugs, blood. But if you were to try right now to say I can't say it, black, bugs, blood 5 times, you can't do it. But if you had stood up to practice it, if you had practiced it out loud, you would have recognized that, and you would have changed it somehow.
Yeah.
The blood of a black bug. No, don't do that one. That one's just as hard. I probably don't have time to figure one out right now, but you would have found a way to say that. If you say it out loud, sometimes you recognize, this sounds stupid. Well, it's much better to recognize while you're walking around the block that you sound stupid than when you look at the blank stares from 700 people or 1,500 people in an audience. So then deliver it with focus and power. You study big, broad. You don't have to think about focus yet. You just have some idea of what you want to do. You list all the things you want to say, then you ask yourself why. And you will spend a lot of time. We teach at SCORE how to do this. We force people to do this by having them put it in a certain sentence. And once that sentence is down, then the rest of the speech is conducted to point people to that sentence. So the answer to why is the key to the very next thing you do. It's the absolute key. You study, you list all the things you want to say, you ask why, you eliminate the things that don't lead to that, and then you professionally organize the things that are left so that from the minute you start, you begin to lead them down the path to the destination. And when they get there, people know where they are. They know that they haven't just gone on a joyride. They know that they've gone on a ride that has taken them to a place where they can benefit, where they can be different, where they can make things work.
And it's a big difference between the traditional method and that template right there for the score. Go ahead.
Just one other thing I'd like to say. Write this somewhere. Less is more. Less is more. You will rarely have a person come out of a talk and go, "Oh, that was way too short." But you will have, tens of thousands of people. He went on and on and on. Less is more. What you really want when you speak to that corporation is for them to go away, "I got exactly what I came for. I can handle this. I can hardly wait to learn the new stuff." Instead of going away, "They gave me so much stuff, I can't even wrap my hands around it."
Right. Well, let me just say the traditional method, what's really missing there is the whole practice. Well, there's a lot missing there, but practice was a big one. And so you're absolutely right. I was doing the traditional. I was doing all the studying, the researching. I was making that list. I was spending and really, I would organize the list. Organize the list, and build the slides. Organize this list and into slides and notes, and then deliver. Without really practicing it at all. Now, thankfully, getting behind a microphone, I get I'm pretty good at extemporaneously sharing a lot of details without having rehearsed. So, 3,100 episodes, you get a little bit better at doing that. But here's the thing. I will say that I am excited about all of the new professional speaking gigs that I will be doing, or even the voluntary speaking gigs that I will be doing. I am going to use this new method of studying. I will list. I'll find out what is the one main thing that I want to communicate. What is the reason for this talk? What do I want people to walk away with?
Right.
And then taking that list and eliminating all the things that don't lead to it, and that really don't have to be there. And here's the key. I do believe that I'm going to see if I can do this. And of course, the platform conference is coming up in November. I assume that I'll have a 40 to 45 minute time to talk. Although, do you know that I actually got Joy to promise me an hour?
I actually went to her home and fired her right after that.
That's funny. But anyway,
do you know why she's giving you an hour?
Why is that?
Did she really give you an hour? Seriously?
She really promised me and committed to me that I would have an hour.
Do you know why she did that? Because we know that it's not going to be a meandering walk through a garden. It's going to be a focused speech.
Yeah, and at this point, I don't know that I necessarily want the entire hour. So, which is kind of funny because I could deliver it in 5 minutes if I have to.
There you go.
But that's the thing. And what I do plan on doing, I plan on coming up with this outline for this talk, and I plan on delivering it first as a 5-minute talk, and then and practicing it and practicing it and practicing it as a 5-minute talk, and then I will change it to a 10-minute talk. Yep. And then I'll practice it and practice it and practice it, and then I will change it to where I can fit it into a 20-minute talk, and then I will practice it a couple times, and then I'll turn it into a 40-minute talk. And and by the time that I have spoken on the stage at the platform conference in Dallas, Texas, I will have given this talk in one way, shape, form, or another. I will have already given the talk at least 30 to 50 times. Wow.
I can't wait to hear it.
And the cool thing is, Ken, is I actually will be giving the same exact talk in what they call a super session at New Media Expo in Las Vegas in January. So
that is great.
That's going to be an awesome time. But I'll tell you, folks, this template, I'm going to put it into our show notes so that you have it. But Ken, this is life-changing stuff, and this is, by the way, this is only scratching the surface scratching the surface of what's available at the SCORE conference. Can you tell folks about the SCORE conference? I do know that you guys got another event coming up here very soon.
Yeah, I think we're doing a SCORE conference that's sold out right here, and we got another one that's coming. But the SCORE conference basically starts with this, because this is the most important. That why is the most important. And we take some significant time helping people move toward that. But then we also teach them some of the obstacles, how to overcome some of the obstacles of communication, crazy kinds of movements. You get a chance to do a speech in the evening. The next day you come back and learn more information about the power of gestures and how they can be a positive or negative thing. We make the statement there's no such thing as a neutral gesture. It either distracts or it helps people want to hear what you're trying to do. We talk about finding and filing great illustrations and how to use them to draw people most powerfully to what you're trying to communicate. It's just, and you each time you get a chance to give a speech, and I want to hear what you think about this. I think one of the most powerful things is you get to watch other people who came basically illiterate in this, unable to make sense of anything, and you get to watch them improve as a result of this, and you get to help them improve. You never have to listen to more than 8 speeches. They're only 5 minutes long, and that small group experience, does that not become, Cliff, one of the most valuable experiences of the entire conference?
It absolutely does. I mean, and I'm still connected to the people that were in my SCORE group, and I absolutely love those people. And you're right. Matter of fact, there was somebody there's one individual on the very first night that I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm glad this is only 5 minutes. And by the third night, oh my gosh, it was like, who is this person? And, what alien has invaded this person's body?
That's
and
right.
What did you do with the original person that was here?
That was hilarious. I did hear that. That is what the alien did was gave the person a direction.
Absolutely.
The alien said, let's go this way. Let's go a specific direction. And that makes all the difference in the world. And takes 99, the practice thing, Cliff, that you mentioned, asking the question why, going up front without having to be tied to notes and absolutely petrified that you might say the wrong word, takes 99.9% out of all the fear of speaking. This leads you to a direction that really is a key of the greatest communicators in the world. They do not step to the stage thinking, oh, goodness, what will this audience think of me? Mm-hmm. They step to the stage going, wow, do I have something for these people?
Well, I do know that folks out there who are listening, there are many of them that would love to be able to take advantage of this. And now I did talk to Joy, and she said there are still some spots open for SCORE coming up here in Colorado.
Yes.
And not only that, but Joy and I have worked out a special discount. I used to have a discount where you could get $100 off, but now it's been increased to $150 off if you use discount code CLIFF, CLIFF, my first name. Put that in there. It will give you $150 off the cost of this conference. And let me tell you, folks, when you go to this conference, don't plan on getting any work done outside of this conference. This is all. This is an all day thing. This isn't 6 hours in the day and you have the evenings free. You're going to go there. You're going to work, but you're going to come back as a transformed communicator. And for those of you who have been following me for a very long time, you know that I've done a lot of YouTube videos. I've sat in front of the camera and shared and rambled about this and that. And if you want to see any of those old videos, you can find them on my YouTube channel. But then I want you to go to podcastanswerman.com/4reasons. That's the number 4 reasons. podcastanswerman.com/4reasons. You watch that video, and that video will show you just what happened to me and my method of communication after going to the SCORE conference. I cannot recommend this highly enough. Head over to scoreconference.tv. That's SCORE, SCORRE, conference.tv, and use promo code CLIFF, and get $150 off and go to this thing. Ken, thank you so much for believing in me to have me come to your very first platform conference event and speaking there. Thank you for the SCORE conference and what it's done for me personally and professionally in my communications. And I'm very honored to be invited to come back and speak at Platform in Dallas, Texas later this year. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and we're looking forward to having you. And great proof that you have become a great communicator is that you were able to negotiate with Joy for an hour presentation, which is impossible, and you got a discount of $150, which is amazing. And I am so proud of you and happy that we're friends, and can't wait to hear you speak again.
Well, my friends, that's going to wrap it up here for this episode of Podcast Answer Man. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. And, here we go. That was, I don't even know, was it 3 or 4 weeks back-to-back of long, lengthy interviews here on Podcast Answer Man. As I told you the last couple of weeks, I'm not changing the format. In fact, I'm looking forward to having my good friend, Eric Fisher, back next week for a great social media segment. And to be honest with you, I don't know what else I'm going to talk about next week. I always bring it up usually right at the last minute. When I say last minute, I mean I get up at 5 a.m. and work for 2 to 3 hours preparing what I'm going to share with you in an episode of Podcast Answer Man. But if you want to come watch live, I'll just mention it one more time. Live show Thursdays. Again, easy for me to say. Starts at 9 a.m. Eastern Time every Thursday at gspn.tv/live, or you can go to podcastanswerman.com/live and come and join the chat room. We've got several people in the chat room today watching me as I record this intro and outro for this episode. Again, that episode, or the interview, was actually recorded last week. But they get to see it all being put together like a puzzle. It's fun. Anyway, so that's Live Show Thursday. Eric's going to be back hopefully next week. Reminder, Podcasting A to Z coming up September 23rd now. I had pushed it back due to Labor Day and to fit more people's schedule. So, again, I would love to have you head over to podcastingatoz.com. Use the discount code SAVE500 to get the early bird $500 discount. SAVE500 at podcastingatoz.com. And then finally, thank you to the folks who have used my Bluehost affiliate link for setting up their hosting account with Bluehost. Now, if you want my full thoughts on hosting, I'll give you that link in just a moment. But first, let me say thanks to the folks behind ThirstyPizza.com, TalksAboutTech.com, BaseballTalk365.com, and MapoShow, MapoShow.com. Thank you to each of those folks who had used my affiliate links. As you know, I get a very generous commission when you do that. And again, if you want my full thoughts on hosting of your website and your MP3 audio files, head over to podcastanswerman.com/hosting. Thank you very much. And until next time, my friends, I encourage you to take everything you do to the next level. And hopefully some of you, I'll see you on September 23rd in my next Podcasting A to Z course. Bye-bye.